When I met Mark and when he showed me his platform here for Chaiken Analytics, it was kind of almost like a love at first sight type of an experience where you just saw what kind of a fantastic platform, the type of analysis that's in Chaiken Analytics. And the fact that he had an opportunity to start working more hands-on with subscribers of ours was an opportunity I couldn't turn down, and it's been a wonderful year and a half. So again, I'm really excited to share with you the strategy, the type of approach that we've come up with during the time that we've been here. This is probably the sixth full earnings season I've gone through here at Chaiken Analytics, and every time we're getting more and more prepared to help you find the best opportunities. So we're definitely excited to show you the best that we have here. Now, enough about me. Dan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the wonderful people here and tell them what you're best at with Chaiken.
Sure thing. First, I'd like to say that thanks for having me, everybody. We have a lot of our subscribers on here. I've talked to many of our subscribers, thousands of subscribers in the 4+ years I've been here. And I want to start this by saying that I'm much better looking than that picture illustrates. Joe, however, looks pretty much the same. Yeah, I've been with Chaiken now for a little over 4 years, and I'll tell you, it's been a great experience. And like I said, I've talked to thousands and thousands of subscribers, of potential subscribers, and what I plan on doing today is just sharing with you just a real simple screening process that I get to share on a regular basis. I think it's going to make a lot of sense to everybody, not only in earnings season, but in pretty much any season. So let's get this thing going.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. So for Chaiken Analytics, again, for those of you who may have heard of us here or there, but maybe this is your first webinar, you might be familiar with the Chaiken name through a variety of different outlets. I know we were just written up over in the Barron's article just a few months ago, actually. And I know Mark's recently made some appearances on CNBC's website through some recent commentary that he's made for the overall market, certainly while we were going through the Brexit. So you've seen our program as well as Chaiken Money Flow on a number of different outlets. But we're here to tell you a little bit about our approach to the market, our Chaiken Analytics platform here. What you're able to do with our program is that you're able to use our power gauge rating. You're going to see this for individual stocks. And what this rating is going to do for you is it's going to help you identify what stocks are trending, which ones have a greater likelihood of outperforming their EPS or underperforming expectations. And we'll also make you aware of those opportunities that you probably want to avoid. I have one of my favorite examples here in the deck that I'll show you later on. But it's a great way to avoid those lemons and hopefully not even have to go through the process of making lemonade. Now, we're also going to give you a better idea for not just the overall rating for the stock, but we're also going to look at some institutional trends to make you aware for the likelihood of a stock as it comes up to report its earnings. And then, of course, I have a great example from Mark Chaiken that he provided when it comes to timing, how to identify your proper entry point, but also getting an idea for when it's time to exit your trade. And I'm sure many of you here are trading options. We're going to help you get a strong idea for how to set your expiration, when to look for the exit. We have a wonderful options platform that we are excited to share with you. So, in fact, I'll tell you what, while we're on the topic of options, why don't we go ahead and get that chat room going. If you trade options, specifically if you trade options around earnings season, go ahead and chat in. Just go ahead and type in the word options if you are interested in trading earnings. And I'm sure we have some subscribers here who maybe take a little bit more of a buy and hold type of an approach. Maybe they're just kind of learning a little bit about trading options, but they haven't really made it their primary source. If trading options is your number one thing, let me know, just so I can get a better sense for who we have here in the audience. Awesome. So I'm seeing a lot of options. Very good. Good. So there's a lot of great interest here. I have a few examples in the deck, and I'll maybe even go over to our live platform at one point and show you some real-time examples. But we're definitely going to keep a very heavy focus here on trading options and how you can get that 50% return, 100% return, 150% return. So a lot of good stuff here to cover. Okay. So let's talk about some of the challenges here. We always like to start off these webinars. Whenever Mark hosts a webinar, whether Sandy hosts a webinar, I think we can all resonate at one time or another about one of the most common problems that we all encounter, and that is called information overload. We really like this slide here. We've actually had a few subscribers print out an image of this and hang it up. The reason why is that it's the best illustration that we've come across that explains the situation, the environment that a lot of investors find themselves in when they try to get a handle on earnings season. And information overload, there's so many different sources. You've got plenty of news outlets on TV, plenty of websites, and yes, we're proudly represented in a lot of those outlets, just like we saw a couple of slides ago. But at the end of the day, there's so much information coming at us all at one time. And so it really calls for a solution here. And the solution in our eyes is Chaiken Analytics, this very simple but very, very powerful platform available on our desktop app as well as on iPad. And it's a wonderful overview for just getting a sense for directly focusing on what stocks are trending. It's that simple. You could ask that type of question a number of different ways. What stocks are trending? Which one's getting the most attention? Where's most of the volume going? Simply enough, which one's got the greatest opportunity for a 14 or 13% drop off, just like Netflix last night? I'm sure many of you saw Netflix after hours yesterday. Um, Overall, Chaiken Analytics is going to very quickly and efficiently bring to your attention those types of opportunities. And you can bet we're going to take a close look at Netflix later on in our presentation. So plenty more to stick around with as we progress through. Now, I briefly mentioned our options play program. Chaiken Analytics, the real value that we bring to you is our overall stock rating. Are we bullish? Are we bearish on a stock? What's the likelihood of the stock breaking out or breaking down? Well, eventually we kind of came to the realization, especially how rocky the market has been over the past year and a half. Maybe not so much over the past month or two, but I'll take that back, especially with the Brexit. But anyway, we realized the need to bring more options functionality to the forefront. And that information overload only compounds when you combine the challenge that is stock selection, finding the right stock, when also figuring out the right option to trade. So we partnered with a wonderful group called Options Play, and what we're able to provide right within Chaiken Analytics now is a single overall platform that helps you identify the right stock, but then also the right options strategy to utilize. So we've got plenty of different information within Options Play. I'm happy to share a lot of this with you. We're going to look at this for a few individual stocks, including Mark's one recommendation that we have in the program here. So plenty of more details regarding this overall Options Play program and how you can quickly and efficiently find the right options strategy to utilize later on throughout our presentation. So what are we looking at here? What are the main indications that we have in Chaiken? What is it that our program is composed of? Well, we give you a directional edge, and the way that we give you this directional edge, this advantage, is that we're combining fundamentals and technicals. And it's all throughout a completely quantitative model. There's no bias in our program here, right? Simply enough, we're taking a completely objective view. We're not having Mark Chaiken, or we're not having Dan over here pull certain levers for individual stocks and saying, buy Netflix, buy Tesla, whatever it might be. No, this is all completely objective and all from a completely quantitative standpoint. And we're combining these fundamentals and technicals to give you a complete picture and a complete assessment as we head into your stock selection process. So let's go ahead and zero in, subscribe to attend our pre-market sessions just for our own subscribers on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. So a little bit to add on to that top-down approach, the way that we begin when we analyze the overall market is we're always going to start with our overall power gauge rating. You start with that single bullish or bearish overall rating, and you begin to drill down within different industries. We're going to take a look at a few sectors that are trending. We're also going to look at a few stocks that have recently triggered one of our buy or sell signals. We have 6 different pairs of these signals to help you identify the right point to begin analyzing for your entry or your exit. And then we'll pair up with our Chaiken money flow and relative strength indications here. Now, the meat of what we offer here is our power gauge rating, that single overall rating. Just like Mark says, it's like the gas gauge on your dashboard in your car, right? So a single, very simple overall rating, but very, very powerful, as we're about to see. So what's under the hood here? Well, we have 20 factors in total. Again, a blend of fundamentals and technicals. You can't find this anywhere else. We're looking at financials, earnings, technicals, and experts. We're going to give a little extra emphasis here on earnings as we go throughout earnings season, but that single rating, whenever you're managing your long portfolio, or maybe you're trading options to protect longer positions, especially with all the volatility we've seen lately. Maybe you're just a swing trader, right? And you'd like to take advantage of these short plays during earnings season. Whatever it might be, this overall rating, this power gauge rating, can provide guidance for you, much needed guidance. It's a pretty simple question here right now. Does the rating work? What kind of results have we seen? Well, how do we determine success here? Well, the way that we make sure that this is working is simply enough. We're just comparing the performance of a stock of ours with a bullish or bearish rating, and we're comparing it back to the average stock in the Russell 3000. And what we've seen since we've been backtesting this back since 1999 is that the overwhelming number of very bullish stocks have outperformed your average stock, and gradually progressing on down, your bears and very bearish stocks have underperformed the market. So what does that mean for our options traders? Well, if you're looking for that significant swing, if you're looking for that sharp swing up for a bullish, you're buying your calls, you're going with the call vertical, whatever it might be, well, you're better off looking at a swing trade in one of our stocks with a very bullish overall rating. And then simply vice versa. When you look at very bearish overall rated stocks, you're going to be looking for those stocks that have the greatest likelihood of breaking down to the greatest extent so you can maximize your profits. So what we've seen throughout 2015, of course, 2015 was a very volatile year. And certainly with all the skepticism that we had seen in the market, plenty of reason to hesitate, it's no surprise that the bears and very bears were leading the way with your profitable opportunities. This is why trading options is so important, so that you can cater to the needs of the market, cater to the overall trend. Don't fight the trend. This is why we use a top-down approach. Again, all of our subscribers who have been on our webinars, if you were on our pre-market session today, or maybe even our options session this morning, again, you know the need to keep a very close eye on the trend of the overall market so that you don't get in the way. And our power gauge ratings, again, are going to be your GPS for finding the right stock. It's worked out so well for us over the years that we've started up a few partnerships. It began with NASDAQ. They saw what we were doing, and they said, look, we need your help with this for NASDAQ. We want to take a few of our indices, and we want to see how they would look if we only focused on the bulls and the bears in Chaiken. Well, ultimately, the success of that project led into 3 unit investment trusts that we've launched with First Trust. First Trust, again, we have 3 active unit investment trusts, all based on hand-picked stocks from Chaiken Analytics for bullish and bearish overall ratings. Plenty more information about this available later on. Let's jump into our individual stocks, though. Let's start talking about what to keep your attention on. So we like to refer to these as our Chaiken classic bulls. And how do we begin to define these? Well, it's led the way by our overall power gauge rating, bullish or very bullish. And we're going to look for relative strength here in stocks to be outperforming the market on a consistent basis. And we want institutions to love the stock as well. Ingredient is a great example to consider here. Notice at the bottom of the page, we have our overall rating down here at the bottom. So you can see over the past 12 months how overwhelmingly bullish we've been on the stock. Today, at the time that I took the screenshot for the stock, you can see it continues to have a very bullish power gauge rating. Imagine being in a situation where you're sitting here in the stock, maybe in your long portfolio. As you go throughout earnings season, you can see how you're able to identify when a stock reported earnings. A stock of this condition, significantly positive, great Chaiken money flow, fantastic performance versus a very weak market. And ultimately, you'll notice a little indication up here toward the top saying that the estimate trend for the stock is in a bullish condition, that you have the confidence to stay in the position. You have the confidence to lead into earnings season and wait for the pop. Even after the stock recovers from the market breakdown back in January, you're back in the stock and you're hanging in there and you're leading into new high points. Here we are back in Q1, or Q1 results actually, reporting earnings, gapping up from about a little bit more than 105, going all the way up to about 115 overnight. That's the beauty of earnings season here. And if you look a little bit closely here at the top of the page, if you're wondering, well, 1, 2, 3 successes in this fantastic stock, well, when is opportunity number 4? You'll notice right at the top of the page here, we have the next date listed. It'll be reporting 2 days from Thursday, so a little bit more than a week from now. Again, and all signs are in great shape here. So Ingredient, a great example of a classic bull. Now, again, the beauty of trading options is that you can profit in either direction, right? So what does our classic bear look like? Flip all that criteria on its head. Consistent bearish power gauge rating. Again, we can find all of this. We'll show you our tricks for finding the best opportunities in a moment. You're looking for weak performance versus the overall market and consistent selling from our institutions. We mentioned Netflix earlier. Again, it's no better place to begin than by looking here at a stock like Netflix. As of yesterday's close, in post-market trading, including what we saw today, Netflix down nearly 14%. Now, this is an example of one of your story stocks. We're all familiar with Netflix. I subscribe to Netflix. I watch movies on there all the time. However, let's not be too enamored by the future of what could be. Let's keep an eye on where the stock is today, because again, we're talking about your portfolio. We're talking about your money here. So when we look at Netflix, you need the guidance for the stock. You need to identify the right time to get in on the position. Noticing at the bottom, we've been bearish on Netflix pretty consistently since the middle of December, and it's been overwhelmingly negative since. Even when it reports positive earnings here, you can see how it gaps down significantly. And then what happens again? I know it's not reflected on the chart quite yet, but the stock trading down at about 85. You're going to see another significant gap down here when our information uploads tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out for that again. Netflix, just a great example of one of your classic bears. Nothing here to really rely on from a long position. So Dan, we're showing you these, we're showing the audience here a couple of great stocks, a couple of great examples here, but we're not really telling them how we find them. And it's kind of want to bring in the big guns here and have Dan show you around a little bit. Dan, show the people about exactly how we can find opportunities like Netflix or Ingredient.
All right. We have 136 stocks. Now, let's say we want something that's being traded heavily. Let's screen again. 6 stocks. Now that is amazing. Look at that list of stocks, over 140 stocks, and in a second or two, we end up with 6. Let's see what these stocks look like. All right, so here's Carbonite, very bullish power gauge, strong industry group. Look at this. Now, this earnings piece, this is something new for Chaiken too. This is great. This way we can plot these prior earnings dates right on the chart. You can see exactly, some of these big upticks or downticks have been explained away. So what do we see? We see it well above that rising long-term trend line, 21-day moving average picking up, blasting, hitting up above this upper band, lots of accumulation. This is pressure. Imagine that this baseline, the distance from here to the top of the green or the bottom of the red, is pressure. What we're really looking at is Mark Chaiken's money flow. So that's looking at where the stock is closing within its trading range, compounded by volume. So we can see there's been a lot of pressure going on. That's a good sign. Heading down in an oversold position, lots of relative strength. This stock will probably not even dip down below that line. It's probably going to do more of some of this, which can be repeated over and over and over again. And you just look at some of these entry points. What you're looking for is this oversold line to start coming right back up. And if you had done that, you can see that on June 24th, you could have gotten in the stock at 939. Right? And now we could have gotten out overbought. No reason to get too greedy, but you could have gotten out at 1102. That is not a bad profit over just about a week and a half. Or if you like the stock and things are looking good, like there's positive relative strength and money flow, maybe you stand for another cycle or two. Oversold to overbought, maybe oversold to overbought again. And if you had done that, if you had the guts to do that, you'd be very happy today. Let's look at just one more. Here's OME. Now remember, what we're really hoping to do here is play this volatility, these short pieces. Again, oversold at 1872, out at 2028. Again, oversold. Look where that line intersects that overbought, oversold gauge. So you're getting in around 1863. Well, that is not a bad, about a week and a half. All right. And then we see that the money flow is picking up. If you had the guts to stay in, knowing that but analysts were bullish on upcoming earnings, maybe you stayed in it. Now, what's really nice about the screener too is that we can save these screens, and it's super easy to do. We're just going to click on this little folder up here. And I'll tell you what, if anybody subscribes tonight and they want to give me a call, and I won't be able to do it tonight because we're going to be slam busy, but if you want to give me a call and we can arrange his time, I'd love to sit down with you and walk you through the screener. I'll hold your hand and walk you through the screener, figure out what's important to you, show you how to save a whole library of screens. In fact, if we look, we can save a whole library of different screens to match different types of scenarios that we're looking for. So this is just one way to use a screener. This is the way I like to use it for swing trading. And again, if you'd like to talk to me about this, I am more than happy to take some time with you. And let's move on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dan. So that is the process that we typically take when it comes to finding the next opportunity to invest in. And that really does show the power of being able to quickly analyze and dig deep into the condition of an individual stock. So when you put all of these factors together, when you know what a classic bull looks like, when you know what these different factors consist of, simply enough, it makes it just so much easier to be able to find these opportunities. And there's very few people who are better at this than Dan is. So thank you. So there's a few other approaches to the overall market that we do want to take here. And of course, that does include simply enough making sure that you're playing good defense in the overall market. So again, if anybody, I know we usually come across one of three challenges for a lot of our new subscribers, for anybody who joins our program. It's that usually you're having a little bit of trouble finding the right stock to swing trade, or maybe if you're just trying to find the right entry point. But I know when it comes to a longer term perspective, certainly what we typically do encounter is looking for the right exit point as well. And that consists of playing good defense. And certainly from a swing trading perspective, there are plenty of bearish opportunities that you can take advantage of when you see that a stock or an overall sector is likely to break down here. So one of the most important reasons that we want to play good defense is because it's about the stocks that you don't own that matter, right? So stocks you do not want to be a part of unless you're going to be buying puts on, unless you're going to be shorting the stock, right? So let's go to talk about what some of those losing stocks look like, and also the industry groups that they're a part of. Now, one stock that I like to really point out is, of course, McDonald's here, which, again, like the retail sector in general, consumer discretionary has started to pull back. It really had certainly a rough past 12 months. But when you look at McDonald's specifically, again, look at this ideal setup, especially if you're trading earnings. You can see despite positive, the overall beating its expectations, you can see how the stock here gaps down significantly following earnings, despite a bit of a buildup here, right? You're not buying into the hype. When I was on my session today with subscribers, somebody asked me when I was looking and I was analyzing a stock as a potential put candidate, it was up about 2% for today, for the given day. And the lesson that I wanted to point to was that just because a stock's recent performance the past couple of days, because it's contrasted with its overall rating, you don't want that to really influence your overall analysis, your outlook for the stock. You need to be able to get your timing right, and certainly whether it's earnings or whether it's using our shorter term indication here for overbought or oversold, this is a great way to be able to find individual stocks. By the way, before we get too far away from the screener here, I saw there's a question regarding the ability to screen for gold or silver stocks. Again, the screener is able to pick up on a number of those stocks, including using our ETF platform. We can actually find a lot of gold and precious metal ETFs by using our ETF platform. So, but again, whether they're in weak condition or whatever it might be, for an individual stock here, again, you're looking for the right opportunity to get out and perhaps even profit on the downside by using a swing trade. Now, for a sector as a whole, I want to go ahead and point out the utility sector. Right now, we're looking at the condition of our sectors over here on the left-hand side. You might recall this when we were analyzing the broader market. Well, what we were pointing to at the time was simply enough that most groups were pretty strong, right? Way more bullish stocks than there are bearish stocks in each one of these sectors. So telling you that, again, in general, there's way more growth potential here. But if you look at the bottom, right, if you're looking at a group down here, utilities, which has had a very strong 2016, you can see that eventually the tide is beginning to turn for that group, right? One of the reasons why we, again, can do better than the broader market is because we can dump our losing stocks. So what we're looking at right now is a chart for the XLU. Now, by using this ETF here, you can identify its performance within these charts the same way that we do for individual stocks. So when you look at the XLU, noticing that it's dropping below its long-term trend, you can see that while it's only been for a short period of time, you do have negative money flow here, but this is the first bit of negative money flow that we've seen since December, right? So that's a pretty important sign when you're looking for that trend change, when you're looking to exit high, as opposed to waiting for it to drop off even further. Not only that, but when you go down here to relative strength, you can see how this group, which for a while was the only group that was doing better than the market, has now started to underperform as of about July. And again, it's the power gauge rating making us aware that there's very weak performance likely to come within these groups. So going from beating the market to then beating the market to now underperforming the market, going from buying behavior from institutions through Chaiken money flow to now selling. You can see this coming. And this, to take it one step further, leads us into specific utilities stocks, right? So from a sector point of view, we know that there's danger here. So in your portfolio, if you do have any stocks that are beginning to break down, if you are looking for the next put candidate, the next bearish candidate for you to swing trade, you can look for where that broader weakness is. So here's PPL Corp. Again, this is a stock that I found when I looked in the XLU ETF, and I said, look, this is a group with way more bearish stocks. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those bearish stocks to see them as potential candidates. And again, the most important thing here that we're focusing on is the power gauge rating. You can see how it went from neutral. So again, you're flying without a tightrope. Mark likes to use a phrase, it's like I'm blanking on the specific title, but ultimately, you're essentially flying in without a light. And simply enough, when you see that the stock is going from neutral now even down to bearish, outperforming its long-term trend to now underperforming, when you see that it's beating the market and now falling behind the overall market here, you can see how this personality change is beginning to develop and how this is not a stock that you want in your portfolio anymore. Now, Chipotle here, again, is certainly shouldn't be news to you if this is a losing stock, if this is a stock you should be dumping from your portfolio. And it's a little bit more of a classic breakdown type of an example. And you can see, again, similar to McDonald's, which ironically used to own Chipotle, you can see how overall the stock has consistently underperformed. You saw a pretty big pop here for earnings, but ultimately since that time has lost its entirely from where it was before that point. In fact, even at a lower, now at a lower point. So if you're wondering where that turnaround is, well, we're still looking forward to ourselves, and we're not anticipating it anytime soon, given that our bearish power gauge rating is consistent with the stock's underperformance of the overall market. Again, the overall market agreeing with the model of our power gauge rating, leading up very nicely for an ideal setup for the stock. Then, of course, for Caveum, now this is a little bit of a lesser known stock. This is one that we found during our options session. So in addition to market analysis sessions, we do also host twice a week our options trading sessions. Now, these are great because, again, we can dive into the details, the specifics of an individual stock, when we can talk about identifying our entries and exits. Not too different from what we're seeing right now, except to a little bit more of a detailed level. Now, Caveum, though, again, I love it whenever I can show relatively obscure stocks, right? Stocks that aren't really household names, but you can find them as candidates that you can trade. And so for Caveum here, again, pretty obvious classic bear example, making lower high points and lower lows. And you can see how it's been consistently underperforming with earnings specifically. But when you notice that you have weak Chaiken money flow, the stock consistently bearish, underperforming the market, you can begin to identify points where the stock is ready to gap down. And you can also identify points where, again, just like we saw on our Wyckoff chart, where the stock's going to make a few steps up, but then a much further drop down. So remember that pattern here. It's not always going to be a smooth, consistent run. Again, our overbought, oversold indication, just to really highlight this one here. Always great to utilize this when you're trying to identify your peak points, right? So ideally, we'd all love to buy our puts at the right price starting here. Now, how would we know to do that at this time? Well, this is where our overbought, oversold indication comes into play, making us aware that the stock is overvalued. And what we see time and time again is that between these peak points, you can see how the stock begins its drop off and then begins to make its way back around here. Very consistent with overbought, oversold here. And you can see how the stock begins its rise up after that. So Caveum, again, one that we find by using the same screening process that Dan just demonstrated for us, very, very helpful for finding the right opportunity. The name itself doesn't necessarily matter. It's really just our overall stock analysis and the condition of the stock. So again, we love showing testimonials because again, it's a sign that again our program is working, is that people can benefit from it, that you can profit from our research here. Always love seeing 100% returns or greater. Again, this is someone, Chris, who again attended my session. This is during the time when we were really analyzing the condition of each of stocks like this. So Caveum, along with plenty of other classic bears, great examples of stocks that you can find in the overall market. So now, again, we really want to emphasize timing here and getting your entries and exits right. This is what we really emphasize during our subscriber-only sessions. So as a subscriber, you can see our contact information at the bottom. Making sure that you're finding the right stocks, not only that you're finding them, but you're timing them at the right moments. Very, very important to being successful here. So we're getting toward the end of our webinar here, but again, I want to emphasize, we always like to dive into earnings since there's always such great interest that people have in trading on earnings. So we really want to emphasize, how you can be successful trading earnings and what are some of the best ways to take advantage of our research when it comes to earnings. Netflix is a stock that keeps on giving. Is a great opportunity because there was one point where in our webinar program, we actually had 3 testimonials year after year after year of people who kept on writing us in saying, I kept on profiting from negative moves in Netflix. Well, again, this time around, back just from the beginning of July, really not much different here. Stocks significantly gapping down. And you can see at the top of the page when the stock itself reports. So you can see how, again, its upcoming date will be October 12th. So if you're wondering when that date is going to be, maybe you just want to swing trade Netflix, but you don't want the earnings date to get in the way. Well, whether you're looking for earnings or whether you want to avoid earnings, our earnings-specific content will make you aware of how the stock is reported, but also to use Chaiken Money Flow to help you identify how the performance of the stock is likely to turn out. Some stocks that I like to avoid are some of those bigger name stocks, those story stocks. So if you think about, if you look at Tesla here, right? So Tesla is, the same kind of thing that we mentioned about Starbucks. Mark is always telling us. Mark likes to gives advice whenever he likes to walk around the office and give us his 2 cents on the market. Starbucks, we said, drink the coffee, sell the stock. Well, what he says about Tesla: drive the car, sell the stock. And again, you can see for a number of reasons. When it comes to earnings, you can see how erratic it is. And simply enough, again, you can see how these, how our indications here, you can see how these earnings dates, right, making you aware of a significant drop-off. But then also, despite missing earnings per share, there are times where stock's able to skyrocket. So ultimately, you want to have the consistency of our factors. You'd like to see a weak rating and negative money flow. You want to see selling leading into the stock to give us an idea. But a stock like Tesla, again, everybody's familiar with Tesla. Everybody has an opinion on Tesla. So it's not necessarily a fair indication for what to anticipate the price reaction after earnings, which is why I like to show a stock a little bit more like Citrix here. So Citrix is a perfect example for how you want to find a stock with a strong rating, and you want to see that bullish behavior leading into earnings. Again, on 2 different instances, strong behavior here for many of these stocks, strong behavior for the overall rating. For money flow, again, institutions are liking it, leading into momentum for the stock. Doesn't work every time. Again, that's the danger of trading earnings. However, we can give you an edge here. We can help you limit your losses. So, again, these are the types of returns that we get to see. 115% in just a single trade, 70% in another trade. Again, these are all stocks that you can benefit from. We talk about trading options a lot. Options are very, very valuable to us. You can see 400% returns in a trade potentially after 2 weeks when you're taking advantage of using options. And the way that we help most for trading options is to find stocks that are likely to swing significantly over a short-term time frame. So this is how we use Chaiken Analytics day in and day out for swing trading. We're going with the overall trend of the market. We don't have reason to be too fearful of a correction coming again, but rather week in, week out, through the guidance of our program here, using Chaiken Analytics on your own, joining us for our group events. Every week we're hosting so many different webinars just for our own subscribers. You can be on the same page for finding stocks that are trending, which ones you can get in and out for a very strong profit from. So the program itself is Chaiken Analytics. Again, this full analysis program that Dan and I have demonstrated here. We have a whole options overlay that's included as well to help you set up your trades, but certainly we really emphasize being able to find the right stocks first and foremost. We've had a number of different times where you might recall the testimonial we showed earlier, where where was Chaiken Analytics years ago when I was really in my heyday as a trader. We get similar comment here from Steve, who mentioned you two. Obviously with the overall program between us, as well as a lot of other sources. Dream team in so many different ways. Genius of Mark to create the functional system. The brilliance of Sandy Chaiken, right, Mark's wife, to learn everything here and to present it with such frankness, simplicity, and genuine caring. I think I can learn this amazing tool too. So we've heard so many different testimonials just like this. We get these every week. And again, we really want to have you join our community and start to really experience this great success as well. So our program here, how we make this available is that we do offer subscriptions typically for about $1,950, but we're going to go ahead and knock $200 off that price for having you attend this webinar. You can access our website, chaikenanalytics.com/market. Again, you'll see this promo code automatically discounted. In fact, my colleague Dan's already left the webinar. He's going to go ahead and start answering some phone calls here. But again, if you want to get Dan's screening criteria, if you want to go ahead and if you want to do a walkthrough with Dan for finding the best ways to find stocks, again, he's actually booted up and available on the phone right now. So please feel free to give us a call. You can get in touch with Dan at 877-697-6783, or again, you can go right to chaikenanalytics.com/market. You'll have immediate access to Chaiken Analytics. By the time you are registered, you'd be able to log in really within about 5 minutes. You'd be able to see how the market ended up based on today's close. I believe we ended down about 0.3% on the S&P 500. But more importantly, you'd be able to join us tomorrow for our onboard session where we can walk you through the basics, how you can use the screener, how you can analyze a stock. Again, small groups, one-on-one tutorials. Again, not just Dan, but myself, my whole client success team here at Chaiken. We're available for one-on-one conversations to walk through. The great thing about working here for this company, one of the reasons why I was so satisfied joining Mark Chaiken's group here, is that, again, we like to believe, of course, that we're spending so much time with our subscribers, and we're really seeing that paying off. None of these testimonials here have been fabricated. A lot of the positive results that you've seen back, again, these are all genuine, completely unsolicited, that come right back to us, which is always great to see. It makes us feel really good about what we do here. I should also say that you'll receive access to Chaiken Analytics as well as our tutorials, in addition to daily insights here from John Schlitz, and also a weekly newsletter from Mark Chaiken. All of this included for a 1-year subscription to Chaiken Analytics here. Again, testimonials, plenty of them coming through. You can make a ton of money within a very short period of time as long as you have the right stocks in front of you. And again, you have an opportunity right now to speak with Dan to do this. Now, one of my favorite accomplishments here, if you're somebody who really, maybe you're getting into the market for the first time, right? Maybe you're really learning the program. You're just trying to get a grasp, or maybe you've been in the stock market for a couple of years now, and maybe you're still skeptical. Maybe you believe that the market is still rigged, right? You don't really have much faith that the market itself is predictable or that Wall Street is against you. Maybe you have concerns about high-frequency trading. Well, we recognize that there are a lot of people out there who do encounter these problems and simply, they want to see more information regarding the overall market before you can actually rely on it. So I had the honor of coming up with our Chaiken Market Academy. And specifically, we're doing this for options as well. So we use not just the overall market, but we use options here to be successful. And what I'm offering here is that if you do subscribe by midnight tonight, you'll be able to attend this course, which typically runs for nearly $700. But if you register for attending my webinar today, we'll go over this options course together. You'll actually be able to join it. It's a 1-day course, 4 hours long, where we go through all of the details from setting up your trade, identifying your stock, identifying stocks that are consistent with the overall market, and being able to find your entry and exit point. Again, we typically charge about $700 a seat, but for attending this webinar, we'll let you join for free, which would be great. So all of this put together here, we're going to knock an extra $100 off on top of the subscription price as well. So you're looking at $1,650 for a full year to Chaiken Analytics. You'll have access to our software the entire time. You'll be able to join our small group tutorials. You'll also be able to join our Chaiken Market Academy, which usually does run at a premium. But Again, if for attending tonight, you can go to chaikenanalytics.com/market. And again, all of this can be available to you really within just a few minutes. So on behalf of my colleague, Dan, he's actually already, I'm looking at him right now, he's already on the phone. But if you give us a call, again, I'm sure he'll be available within a few minutes. But we really want to thank you for coming out, for spending time with us. And, again, if you're thinking about the price tag here, if you're thinking, well, is it worth it? Well, remember that unreliable analysis comes free, right? If you're looking for something that you can really make trades that you can rely on, a lot of that is totally free, right? But if you're looking for something that you can rely on, that you can have confidence in with your trading, Chaiken Analytics is the program for you. So again, on behalf of Mark Chaiken as well as Dan Frantz, we want to thank you very much for spending time with us this afternoon. Keep an eye out for a recording. We'll make this available for you tomorrow if you'd like to check out a recording. But in the meantime, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you tomorrow for our next subscriber session.